live. Let me just adjust the camera a little bit here, make sure it all sounds good. Let me know in the comments if everything sounds good. Sorry. Let's see, bring this down just a hair. I'm still getting used to setting this thing up, even though this is like my 15th live stream. But yeah, happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to my Sunday night live, where I do a live stream every Sunday, and I kind of just talk movies. I talk about the films that I have watched throughout this last week. I don't know. I introduce chat with you guys a little bit, talk on different topics that you guys bring up. Always I don't know, always good to have a community to talk about movies with. So hopefully everyone's doing well. Currently in Ohio, it is fairly cold outside. This week got down to like, I want to say it was like 20 degrees at some point this week. And it was kind of a snowstorm, and it was a lot. But hopefully wherever you guys are in the world, I hope everyone is doing okay. And I hope everyone is just enjoying the January season. We're coming to the end of January. And going into February. So I, for one, don't like the winter. So I am totally okay with things going to slowly start getting warmer in a couple of months here. But I know some people out there really like the winter. So and just everyone's enjoying some movies. But tonight I just wanted to talk about, starting things off, I wanted to talk about the films that I watched this last week. If you are just now joining the live stream for the first time, welcome. I'm glad that you are here. And I hope that you enjoy my channel. I hope you enjoy the content. This year, one of my goals is to watch 365 movies. And so not necessarily one movie a day, but just watching 365 films in total. So this week I actually got around to watching a decent amount of things, and yeah, I'm very excited to dive into those. So I guess I'll just jump right in to everything. So basically kind of how I'm doing this, like picking and choosing with hey from Greece, hello. That is so fun. I feel like I've had someone from Greece here before, but I don't know if I remember or not. So hello, and that's so fun. I think last live stream I had someone from Iceland. No, where was it? I've had people from England, Australia. There was one, I forget now, it's escaping me, but there was somebody from last week that was from another, like a completely different part of the world. But yeah, so yeah, welcome from from Greece. That's so fun. But I also, I guess I should ask this too, for all my overseas viewers, is the like, for all the people who are watching overseas, is right now a good time? Oh, hello from Denmark. That's so fun. So right now it's 7 o'clock in the evening in Ohio. Is that a good time for everybody else? Because I know somebody last live stream was saying how they were like, it was 1 in the morning at their where they were. So I don't want it to be, you know, inconvenience. I know it's a Sunday night, so a lot of people have work in the morning. So if I need to push this up, I totally can. Just let me know in the comments down below, or just in the live chat too. You know, if I should push this up an hour or whatever, a couple hours, like if that's more convenient, and I can kind of get a feel for what the majority of, like, what the time works for the majority of viewers. But yeah, I mean, if this works too, that's great too. So I'm going to jump into the films that I watched this last week. So on Sunday, I've been kind of like doing a, let me grab my little notebook here. So every single, like, let's see, nice space, all of your collection. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you are curious of like how the whole room is set up, I have a room tour video on my channel that's, I love, like, kind of, let's see, I'm from Houston, Texas. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I have like a room tour video kind of going over just like the entire layout of the room. But let's see, most I follow may, Most I follow makes podcasts very late according to the or to my time, but it's all good. Do what is best for you and your viewers in your country. You can't make everyone happy. Yeah, I want to make it as like as easy for people to watch, if that makes sense. Because I don't want people to feel left out. But yeah, so but I've been throughout the year. I've been kind of going through and keeping track of everything I watch. So I have this list here going. Um, and so right now I've watched 26 films in the year of 2024 so far. So I am ahead of schedule technically. Um, and I'm just going to kind of go through from what I watched. Um, and I kind of been following a pattern of Sundays watching horror films, Mondays watching films from that I should have seen by now, or films from directors I really like. Tuesdays are sci-fi days. Wednesdays, Severin. Thursday, Criterion. Friday is TV show. And Saturday is Vinegar Syndrome. This week, I didn't quite follow all of that. I kind of changed some things around. But starting things off, the first thing I watched was Psycho 4. So this 3-pack has been in my collection for many, many years now. And I saw like Psycho, the original, of course, and then Psycho 2 and 3, and I watched like the remake that was not super great. But I never got around to watching Psycho 4. So I decided to finally just pop that in and watch it. It's definitely nothing special. I feel like at that point they kind of lost the whole series. I feel like there shouldn't even have been sequels to Psycho. I feel like the first Psycho was so like groundbreaking and like perfect that you didn't need to add sequels to it. You didn't need to add backstory and all that stuff. You just I feel like that's what makes the character more interesting if he doesn't have a backstory. But yeah, Psycho 4 kind of it really focuses on his backstory. Half the movie takes place, or I should say, like it's kind of like this like back and forth of the movie where part of it is Norman Bates kind of on the phone with the radio host and kind of talking about what his story a little bit, and then the other half is kind of like a reenactment of the like the events of what he is describing. So it was okay. I'll probably not revisit it anytime soon. I know for the longest time this was the only way to get Psycho 4 on disc is in this 3-pack. The only other way was on VHS. I know then eventually they came out with the Blu-rays of all the films. But yeah, I don't really remember Psycho 2 and 3 all that much, but 4 was it was okay. But let's see. I am a horror freak myself. I am currently upgrading most of my horror movies into 4K. Friday the 13th collection? Question mark. What's your take? Is it a must-have? I got the DVD collection from olden days. So I don't, as far as I am aware, they don't have a they don't have a full collection of all the Friday the 13th films on 4K. I know they've released the first 4, I want to say, on 4K. But the next best thing would be this box set. I would highly recommend getting this. I personally I love the Friday the 13th series. I have this set. I have the set right there that you can kind of see. I have a set right over there. Yeah. That's the older DVD sets. I have a whole video going over my whole Friday the 13th collection. I just love collecting all the different artwork variations and all that stuff. But I love the Friday the 13th series. I think it's because like right around part 5, they kind of stopped taking things too seriously, and I feel like they were like, okay, we know what we have, we know what people want, let's just go with that. And so they're just these insane movies, just a lot of fun splatter and just like a fun, just like there's fun movies, and if you don't take them too seriously, they're fun. Not for everyone, but especially like I'm a big fan of the Friday the 13th part 8, which is Jason Takes Manhattan. And I know it's like such a guilty pleasure because it's so cheesy, but I love the idea of like Jason on a cruise ship. I don't know why, and I've always liked the setting in a horror movie, like set on a cruise ship, where there's like really not there's no escape, and so it's like it isolates the characters, and I think it's just you can play with that like a lot. But Yeah, I would say if you do consider getting the set though, contact Scream Factory to confirm, which this is put out by Scream Factory. Contact Scream Factory to confirm that they have the replacement discs with this set, because I ordered, like, I pre-ordered this when it was first announced, and I believe it was parts 3, Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, if I'm not mistaken. Um, those 3 discs on were bad, and so I had to contact Scream Factory and get replacement discs, which was no problem. They sent them to me, no charge or whatever. But I would highly recommend getting this. But if you do, definitely reach out to Scream Factory, because I guess there were issues. I'm not sure what the issues were, but there were issues on those 3 discs. So yeah, I would highly recommend this. One of my personal favorite sets in my collection. Okay, let me see. I missed some comments. I ordered Psycho in 4K, but it came in with a broken box, so I returned it, and then the price went up. That is a shame. Yeah, I don't have Psycho on 4K, and I'm sure it would look amazing on 4K. But yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you. I like, that's what's always annoying too, when you order something and then it's just damaged. I recently had that happen to me as well, where I ordered a box set from Arrow Video, and it came damaged, and it was one of the what's it called, Giallo Essential box sets, and the front cover was kind of ripped, and so I contacted them, and it was a whole process trying to get a hold of somebody to answer a question. And that's not me trying to talk bad about Arrow Video. I think it was just they had a lot. It was during their Black Friday sale, so it was like a lot of orders going through. So I understand, but I eventually got a hold of somebody and eventually got an answer, and they did replace it absolutely free, and they let me keep the original damaged one, and so I was able to pass that along and keep my newer copy. But yeah, it's always a shame when things get, like, come in the mail broken. But yeah, let's see. I saw that collection at my local dealer. Would go nice with my signed Tom Savini mask, though. I'm assuming you're talking about the Friday the 13th set, but that's awesome if it's a signed Tom Savini mask. That's awesome. And let's see, I love that collection. I got it. Okay, yeah, the Friday the 13th. Okay, thanks for the info. Haven't had any issues in my country yet with any DVDs or Blu-rays. Yeah, I do appreciate it when, like, companies are willing just to send out a replacement disc, like, right away. I know Vinegar Syndrome is actually pretty good about that, where if you order something, I think the Flesh for Frankenstein set that they put out on 4K, I don't have it in my collection, but if you order it, I think you get the replacement disc, like, right away with it, because they don't want to open up the sealed copies that they have to put a replacement disc in. I think they just send it with it. So yeah, some country or some companies are very, very good about sending out a replacement disc. I know the, like, Criterion, as far as I know, has only done this once, where the Citizen Kane 4K, the Blu-ray had a defect on it. I think, like, at a certain timestamp, like, the screen got really bright. I personally never experienced that with my copy, so I never reached out to get mine replaced. But so some companies are pretty good about sending out replacement things. But yeah, so the next thing I watched, this is part of the 8 Films to Die For series. The After Dark Horror Fest, and so you can kind of see them, like, a little bit right here in my collection. Oh, it's hard to do this because it's backwards. You can kind of see them, like, a little bit in my collection over there, where I have a bunch of these films, and I was kind of like, at one point I was trying to collect all of them, because I think it's kind of cool that it's like, it's a kind of a series in a way. They're not connected, like, in the film, but, like, on the artwork they're all kind of connected, and I'll show you quickly. But I watched the film The Abandoned. I think that's, I don't know if this is flipped or not. And you can kind of see, like, the After Dark Horror Fest and the 8 Films to Die For logo, and on the spines you have, like, the little things here, and yeah, I think they have I think this is part of the first series. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 different of these series, where they're interesting. I don't see myself going back to revisit these films that much. I haven't seen all of them. I've seen a couple of them, but not all of them. And this was interesting. I felt like it was kind of like, it reminded me a lot of like kind of like a, I don't know how to describe them. I always think of them like as a circle movie, if that makes sense, where, you know, events kind of just keep happening and like, or characters are trapped in a situation and they can't get out because like things keep happening and things just keep feeling like they're going in a circle. Where, you know, I'm trying to think of an example. Similar to the film Triangle, if anyone has seen that, where it's like, it's all the way over there, where it's kind of like things just keep happening. This one kind of is like that, where they see themselves, like they're stuck in this house and they see themselves like in like as like zombies almost. And it's very interesting. But it's probably, it's not like high, I wouldn't say it's like a top tier horror type. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's middle of the road. It reminds me. I mean, this came out in 2006, and it is the most like. It reminds me definitely of 2006 horror, or just early 2000s horror. But the next thing I watched, this was one that I've had in my collection also for a very long time, and this is one that I should have seen a long, long time ago, and it's been in my. This is part of my favorite directors section too, because this was directed by David Fincher, and this is also part of the Criterion Collection. And so, you know, in one movie, I watched something that I should have seen, or it's something I should have seen, something in my director section, and something in the Criterion Collection, kind of all in one. But sorry, let's see. What is your favorite 2000s horror movie? Ooh, that is a good question. Wow, that's a really good question. I do like the Final Destination films. That comes to mind. I mean, I'm trying to think now. That's a very good question. I might have to think about that. Um, if you ask that same question in the comments on this video, I will have an answer for you, because I will think about it and get back to you later. So, sorry I don't have a better answer. Um, yeah, that's a great question. But this film that I watched was the Curious Case of Benjamin Button. So this is from 2008. It's clocking in at 165 minutes, so it is kind of a longer film. But this is one that I've had in my collection. I've just never gotten around to watching, and I absolutely love this. I actually I teared up at this movie. But it's so good. It was so well directed and so well acted. I mean, Brad Pitt did a fantastic job in this role. It's such an interesting film too. I mean, how he's aging backwards and stuff. I just feel like it's a very it's a unique film, and so I would highly recommend checking that out if you get the chance. The only downside, I'll add this quickly. So this is my Criterion Blu-ray copy, which this is the only Criterion that, like the Blu-ray, that came in a blue case. For whatever reason, I think this is kind of when they were transitioning from DVD to Blu-ray, and they weren't fully sure like how they were going to do Blu-ray. That was before they came out with the clear cases. And unfortunately, this artwork won't really fit in a clear case because the spine would look kind of weird. But the only issue that I have, so this is supposed to be on the back here, it's a 2-disc special edition, but my Blu-ray copy is only the 1 disc, which is very unfortunate, and so I don't have the supplements on this, but I do have a DVD copy of this with the supplement disc, so if I want to go back and revisit it, I can do that. But the next one I watched, this is again one that's been sitting in my collection for some time now, and I've just never gotten around to watching it, but that was the film Escape from LA. So this is the sequel to Escape from New York, and essentially it's the same. Let's see. I loved Benjamin Button, saw it twice in theaters. That's awesome. I wish I could see that in theaters. I feel like that would be a really great theater experience. But Escape from LA, essentially the same movie as Escape from New York. I personally liked Escape from New York a lot better than Escape from LA, but I don't know. I feel like it's like a fun concept, but I don't know. It was okay, and I feel like there's some fun things that they did, it being LA. But I personally, eh, I probably won't be revisiting anytime soon. I feel like, excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. I personally didn't think it was anything that special. But if you like Escape from New York, I would probably recommend checking out the sequel just because it's pretty much the same, like, as I said, it's like the same concept. But the next one I watched, this was one that came out in 2021. Yeah, 2021. And I remember I got this from Walmart. I almost went to go see this in the theaters, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. But that was the film Wrong Turn. So this is the remake or reboot or sequel. I don't fully remember what they were going for with this, but wasn't a big fan. I really felt like this was a missed opportunity. I feel like with the Wrong Turn series, so this is technically the 7th film in the series. With the Wrong Turn series, I feel like it's kind of supposed to be more like, you know, backwoods, like mutants almost, or like, I don't know, kind of like roughly like Hills Have Eyes vibes, like, but in the woods. And I feel like this one just is like regular people living in the woods, and I don't know. I feel like that was just, I don't know. I didn't like the characters throughout this whole film. Any of the characters that were like supposed to be the main, you know, teenagers or whatever, they all just did so many stupid decisions, like one after another, and I personally just wasn't a big fan of this take on it. I will always love the original Wrong Turn, like especially Wrong Turn, probably like 1, 2, and 3. After that, they get a little silly, but I mean 1, 2, and 3 are fun. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the remake. But the next thing I watched, so I've been working my way through this trilogy, and the other night was the final film of the BRD trilogy. So this is the film. Get it out. I watched the film Lola, which is from 1981, and it's in German. It's 115 minutes long, and it was very interesting. I really enjoyed this trilogy. Last week I talked about this a little bit, where the same director, they also directed a few other films within the Criterion Collection, and I'm glad that I have these films. I feel like the first one's still probably my favorite of the trilogy, and maybe Lola was the second, my second favorite, but yeah, if you are into the Criterion Collection and you don't have this set, I would probably say like this is a safe bet to pick up during a Criterion sale. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was fun. The next thing I watched, I've been watching also through this season. So how I'm kind of doing it too, if you're not familiar with, like if this is your first time here and you haven't heard me talk about this before, if you have, I apologize. But for TV shows, I'm watching like 2 episodes. I'm counting as like 1 movie, because I have so many shows and so many so many, what's it called? Like TV seasons on DVD or Blu-ray, and I just like never gotten around to actually watching them, and so I decided to basically kind of just watch a lot. Like I've been trying to work my way through some of these series because I've had them for years, and I don't want to count one episode as a movie because some episodes are only going to be like 30 minutes, and I feel like that's kind of cheating if I just count that as one movie, because I could just watch a full season to have 18 or 18 movies to write down. But with these are 45-minute episodes, and yeah, so I watched 2 more episodes of the show Hannibal. I'm on season 2, and I'm really enjoying the show. I really love it. I feel like it's very well done. Mads Mikkelsen is just incredible in the role. I mean, everyone, Lawrence Fishburne and everybody, it's such a great show. If you like horror, I would recommend checking this out, especially if you're a fan of the Silence of the Lambs or Hannibal or any of those like films. I would recommend checking this out, because I feel like they could have just made this like not good. Like they could have just made it like a typical like retelling of the Silence of the Lambs or something like that, but they kind of went in a different direction with this, which I really like. So I'd highly recommend checking that out. I'm very excited to see where the series goes. Um, and then I came to watching. Let's see, what day was this? I don't remember what day I watched this on, but the next thing I watched was the film Family Plot. Uh, so this was Alfred Hitchcock's last film that he made before he passed away. Actually, I believe they had to take a temporary suspended or yeah, so they had to basically stop production on this movie because he had a stroke, heart attack. Yeah, heart attack. He had a heart attack, and so I'm glad that he was able to finish this film. Not his strongest film by any means, but still very entertaining. I had a lot of fun with this. I feel like Alfred Hitchcock is just a master of film, and he knows how to tell a very compelling story. Um, and I'm going to be working my way now that I've watched his last. I kind of had the what's it called? I kind of had the last few Alfred Hitchcock films that I still needed to see, and this was the last one with his newer movies. Now I'm going to be kind of working my way back from the film I Confess all the way back to his very first, what's it called? His very first films. So highly recommend, if you like Alfred Hitchcock, I would recommend just checking out all of his films because I feel like they all are different, but they all feel like a Hitchcock film, if that makes sense. Let's see. Okay, so you just added to my top 1,000. Oh, okay, so you just added yeah. Sorry, I'm reading and thinking at the same time. That's awesome. So actually, I'm going to be talking about my top 1001 films here in a second. Not my personal top, but like I went through and I actually marked down, or I figured out how many films according to the book, which I'm excited to talk about. But Kyle, you may enjoy my collection. You would like. Sweet. I will look at it. The Master of All Movies, Prestwood DVD. Okay, yeah, I will find your channel after this and I will look into it. Do you have any tips on how to get into silent movies and not get bored? Ooh, that's a great question. So I would probably start with Charlie Chaplin if I had to recommend something with silent films. Some great ones to start with is The Kid, Gold Rush, or I'm trying to think, The Great Dictator, which I think it's technically silent. I don't remember if Great Dictator is silent or not. There might be dialogue, so don't quote me on Great Dictator. What else did he make? City Lights, Modern Times. Maybe start with Modern Times. I feel like Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin is a fun, entertaining silent film where you kind of get a feel for like the silent comedy era of film. And yeah, or you could start with something small, something like almost like a short film, which I would recommend. So this is only 81 minutes. It's silent. It's from 1928. Very good movie. It's a very great film. Let's see. Okay, so you're recommending try watching movies that have been remastered with new OST original soundtracks like Metropolis. Okay, yeah. Yes, so I would say find a I did shout out video. Okay. I would say find a genre of silent film that you enjoy, whether that's horror, comedy, romance, and then start with one of those. So like, I would start with. I mean, if you like horror, maybe like oh, I don't know. Sorry, I just disappeared. Okay, sorry, I disappeared. Start with this. If you like horror, this is an easy watch. It's only 90. I mean, it's 95 minutes. It's from 1922. If you like sci-fi, I mean, obviously Metropolis is fantastic. there's other great ones too. But yeah, I would say just find a genre that you enjoy, um, and then just kind of find a film, like a well-known film, like a well-known silent film that is within that genre, and then start there. But that's how I would go about it. Because I will say that silent films are not for everyone. I think they can be boring. I sometimes I find myself watching, if I'm watching a silent film, and I don't know. Sometimes um, I find myself like my mind wandering, or whatever. So yeah. Um, Boxing pickups, live streams, soft late night movie. Sweet. Yes, I will. A master of all things movies. I will. I will definitely check out your channel after this. So, um, that sounds interesting. But then, so last night I ended up having a couple friends over, and we were trying to pick a movie to watch, and so we landed on watching the film Live, Die, Repeat / Edge of Tomorrow, the movie that they could not decide a title on, so they named it twice. I personally like the title Edge of Tomorrow more than Live, Die, Repeat. I just feel like it sounds more like a movie title. This movie's fantastic. I would highly recommend checking this out. This has been also one that's been sitting in my collection for a very long time, and I've just never gotten around to watching it. A lot of fun. I mean, it's definitely a like time loop movie, where basically, like, I mean, I feel like that might be spoiling it a little bit. Um, I don't. I mean, it's been a while. Um, it has to do with time. I'll say that, for not spoiling it for anyone. It has a lot to do with time and the events of something, and just kind of like trying to figure out what that is. But highly recommend checking it out. It's a very common DVD to find. I feel like it's if you're looking for a DVD, I feel like you'll see it at thrift shops or wherever, pretty cheap. So, and then last night I decided to. Action version of Groundhog's Day. That is a perfect way to explain it. Thank you, Ralph. That is perfect. Um, but the other, or last night, I rounded out my week with watching the film The Straight Story. So, in honor of David Lynch's birthday, which if you follow me on Instagram, I have a photo of all my David Lynch movies. But I've been collecting since I was 19 years old. Started in 2002. See, it's cutting off part of your comments. I'm sorry, Master of all movies. It's like some of your comment is okay. Started in 2002. That's awesome. But so it was David Lynch's birthday yesterday, and so I figured I should watch the one David Lynch film that I have not seen. Besides, I haven't seen all of his short films, so I need to still dive into that. But this was also just a fantastic film. This is like a very strange thing for David Lynch to do. This is a G-rated Disney movie. Everything else David Lynch has done is like rated R, you know, and it's kind of out there and very strange and weird. And you know, besides Dune, I guess that was PG-13. But this was just like such variety within his work. I feel like this is like like the, you know, this the weird like child of all of his other films. But this is such a heartwarming film. And I felt for the characters. I really like it was sad. I mean, this guy, he drives, and this is also based off of a based off of a true story. So this really happened. You know, this guy drove 260 miles on a riding lawnmower. So you can kind of see it here in the photo, the John Deere riding lawnmower, because his brother had a stroke, and so it was like 10 years since he talked to his brother, and so he felt like he needed to kind of go make his peace with his brother before it's too late, because they're both fairly old. And the main character is not able to drive a car. I think he has like a issue with his eyes, so he's kind of like blind, not fully blind, but like he can't drive a car. He can't walk very well. He has to use he has to use canes. and he's determined to go see his brother, which is over state lines. And the score of this film is fantastic. The cinematography is fantastic. I would highly recommend checking out that for that alone. And you know, he kind of hitches up a little trailer to his to his riding lawnmower and takes this, like, you know, multi-week trip to his brother. And the ending is very touching. It's very sad. And it's a fantastic film. I would recommend checking this out. It really just shows, like, that it shows that David Lynch can, like, take any, like, a topic that you wouldn't think that he could handle, like something like this, where it's a pretty, like, normal story for the most part, but it's not like any of his other work, but he can still direct it and make it look like a really good film. And it is interesting because it feels like a David Lynch film, it looks like a David Lynch film, but the content that you are watching is not, it's not like a David Lynch movie, if that makes sense. Some of the characters, like, they feel like they're right out of a different David Lynch movie and, like, put into this one and kind of, like, toned down a little bit. But yeah, I would highly recommend checking out The Straight Story. I mean, I think this would be a fantastic addition to the Criterion Collection on a nice Blu-ray or 4K, because honestly, I love this. I think that they do make this on Blu-ray, but I think it's only Region 2 or Region B. So it is kind of harder to come by. So I only have the DVD here. But yeah, very, very interesting that David Lynch directed that. But that is everything that I watched over the last week or so. I am going to grab a drink, though, because I'm very thirsty. So now I'm going to kind of talk about... hey now, Kyle. Hello. So now I'm going to kind of talk about the, no, that is, I've been drinking, so this is like a sweet tea, and it is, so the only place I can find these is at Whole Foods Market, which is unfortunate because these are very good, like, they're very good sweet teas, and I wish that they were, because right where I live, there's not, like, a Whole Foods, like, super nearby, and I wish that there was, like, it was like at Walmart or something, but and they're, like, very expensive on Amazon, or, like, I guess you could order them offline, but they're also very expensive. But yeah, very good sweet tea. I guess, I don't know, like, let's see. My name is Sarah. Nice to meet you. You also enjoy TV, sitcoms, shows that's and series and seasons. You can check out my titles. Okay, sweet. Let's see. Have you picked movies that you are watching next week? I have not, actually. And there's certain ones in my brain that I'm like, okay, this is going to be the next one I watch. Like, for instance, for the next Criterion that I'm going to be watching is going to be... I'm going to start this series, the Through a Glass Darkly, Winter Light, and The Silence. This is a trilogy by Ingmar Bergman. And so this is just like the... let's see... So this trilogy is kind of next in line for my... what's it called? For my like, when I'm watching Criterion, and so I've been kind of, like, just going in order with these, and just kind of trying to watch the next one in line, because my goal is to watch from Spy Numbers. Let's see, this year was, I think it was from watching Spy number 200 to 300, like that bracket, and at least watching everything I have plus whatever I'm going to be buying throughout the sales. But that is kind of my goal with at least that. Some of the other things that I'll be watching is just kind of like with, let's see, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I feel like it is just going to have to do, it's just going to be like picking as I go, because I don't know. Some nights I feel like watching a certain thing, and others I don't. But I guess, yeah, if you guys have recommendations for things to watch, I would 100% love to hear those recommendations. And, if I see them, like if I've already seen the film, I'll just kind of ignore it. But any recommendations on films based off of how, like either stuff that you've seen within my collection or kind of like my weekly schedule of things like horror or movies I don't know, sci-fi films, Severin, Vinegar Syndrome. Some stuff, obviously, I don't have everything that's ever been made. So, if you have a recommendation on horror, I would love to. Like if you have recommendations on horror, love to hear them. I have a decent amount of horror stuff, but again, I don't have every horror movie ever made. Um, let's see, is that Carl? Yes, behind you. Yes, that is. Um, this is a fantastic set. Um, these are definitely like movies not for everyone because they are kind of slower. They're black and white in Danish, um, and it includes this documentary. I'll try to do this with one hand. Gertrude, which if I remember correctly, is either this one or this one that I really enjoyed. One of these I really liked, but this one and then this one. So this one was kind of frustrating. It had a lot to do with like let's see, it had something to do with witch trials, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is an out of print box set. That's actually kind of harder to find. But actually, I was at a store today and they had it, so I won't say what store, but they had it at the one store I went to. Let's see. Haven't seen many of his films. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've seen of his is within that one box set. But so last week I was talking about this book. This is the 1001 films you must see before you die. Now this is the 5th edition of the film or of the book. I believe there's been like 2 or 3 since this one. So this one's older now. I forget when this was, when the publishing date on this was. I guess yeah. This will I don't need a publishing date. The latest film in this book was Atonement from 2007. So that kind of gives you a rough idea when this book came out. It was right around 2007-ish. And I really like this book. So I go through and I mark down films that I have seen by just adding a little black dot. So this is kind of hard to do with one hand, but I put a little black dot next to the title. I know there is a checklist at the beginning of the book, which it's just harder to find because it's in alphabetical order, and this is the order that the films have been released in. So I put a little black dot to indicate that I've seen the film. But if you are curious, there is an online kind of like one of those like list challenge websites, I guess, where you can mark off all of the films you've seen, and somebody has gone through and compiled a complete 1001 films movie, like 1001 films you should see before you die list, where they have basically added all of the films throughout all of the different editions. And so in total in this particular list there was 1159 movies. So throughout each edition they of course add some films and they have to take some out. So things in the 4th edition are not going to be necessarily in the 5th edition, but throughout all of the different editions there is a total of 1159 titles. And so I went through and marked out what movies I've seen, and out of that number I've seen 449 of 1159, which is about 39% of that total, which I was honestly kind of surprised. I was expecting it to be maybe a little higher, but I feel like still 449 movies is a lot to say that I have seen. But out of all of the films, I went through as well and marked out, like after I did that, I went through and marked out um, the the movies that I own that I have not seen that appear on that list, including the ones that I have, um, like, including the ones that I've seen already, if that makes sense. So, just say there's a film that I saw in theaters that I don't own here, I would still mark that. But then there's a lot that I own, like especially in the Criterion Collection, that I have not seen yet. So out of that number, there is 612 of 1,159, which is 53%. Um, and I would highly recommend checking it out. Is that an IMDb list online? So no, it is. If you Google 1001 films or movies you must see before you die checklist, I believe it's. I think there's like a blue banner on the top, if I'm not mistaken. And then each movie is like a little like has like the either the poster or the movie cover, and it like you can just click it and it will check it for you. And at the very end, it will have like a total percentage. So it's like the list challenge. I think it's like a website, the list challenge, if I'm not mistaken. I should have, had that written out, but definitely recommend checking that out. Like, if you do find it, I would recommend just going through and checking. It is kind of fun to see how many you've seen, how many you want to see. There's a ton of films within there that I would love to watch. I mean, even this book, there's a ton of movies that I would love to still watch, and I don't know. It's a fun thing to do, but I'm not much of a horror fan, but I enjoyed watching The Descent at an open air cinema during a music festival with 2,000 people, jump scared all around me. Recommended. Let's see. Recommend that one. Yes, The Descent is fantastic. I think yep, The Descent is one of the best like claustrophobic movies. Where it's like it puts characters in a very very small space. I've seen The Descent maybe 2, maybe 3 times. But yeah, I went splunking once in my life, which is like when you go down into a cave, and all you have is like flashlights, and I was like with a group of people. But we went. I think it was like it was fairly like far down. It wasn't like anything crazy, but like the one part of it, there was like a rock, and like the only way to go through is like to crawl underneath it, and you were like kind of crawling in like a little bit of water. But that's all I could think about the entire time when I was in there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, some of those the caving things, whenever you like do all that stuff, it's kind of fun. It's also crazy, but how many are you willing to skip of those 1001? Probably not many. I probably would say I'd probably watch all of them. I think it's like, especially if they appear on multiple editions of the book, like there's probably a reason why they like are part of that list. And yeah, they're I don't know. I would highly recommend, like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I would say probably not many. I'd probably go through and watch all of them, because it's kind of the same thing with like the Criterion films. Like, there's a reason why they're in the Criterion Collection, and so I will always like give them a fair I don't know, a fair shot. But let's see. I know you have Universal Horror and Modern Horror, but there is a wealth of horror movies from the 1950s through the 1970s, English, Spanish, Italian, Mexican horror. Yes. I have a small, like, that is one area that I would like to dive more into. But I've seen like the major ones. I've seen like a lot of the Italian ones, like Zombie, of course, and I've seen. I'm trying to think, like The Beyond, or I don't know. I always blank. On these live streams, I always just like blank on movie titles, and it's bad. But I don't know. I have a decent amount of ones that I have that I've just not gotten around to watching. But yeah, I even like um, I don't know, like Maniac. I love that. I love um, I don't know. There's all kinds of fun stuff. Is there a genre that you don't like? That's a great question too. You're asked. Who is this? Tiffany. Yeah, Tiffany. You ask some fantastic questions. I would say out of all of them, westerns might be pretty low for me. I don't know if it's my least favorite genre, um, but I'm not huge into westerns. Um, I just can't get into them. I haven't like I should say I haven't given them a very fair shot either. I should, but I don't tend to gravitate towards them. Um, I mean, like kids Disney stuff, I don't watch a ton of. I'll watch it, but it's just not like my like a favorite genre to watch. I'm trying to think. That might be it. Like, I like action. I like sci-fi. I like dramas. I like romance films. Where it's kind of like, I don't know. I guess that would fall under drama. Um, yeah, I think I would say westerns and like kids stuff. The thing is, I have a lot of those within my collection as well, and so um, let's I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of genres out there, but and if you collect Criterion, you will have Japanese ghost stories, three to four titles. Yes, I have a few of those actually, like House, and um, Unibaba. I believe that's a ghost story as well. Um, and there was definitely another one in here that I've seen. Um, can't find it. There's definitely one in there that I've seen that is like kind of a ghost story. Um, then not into many westerns or war films. I only got the classics. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I feel like I guess war too, like war films aren't like my go-to either. I have the classics, but I mean they put out a lot of war movies, um, and I don't know. They're to me they're okay. My favorite ones obviously is like um, Full Metal Jacket is probably my favorite war movie, or Apocalypse Now, or the big ones that everyone's seen. But I need another drink. Excuse me. Do you like to collect other things or just movies? So I do collect. um, let's see. I collect like film reels, which I guess kind of falls in the category of movies. I have a very very small like video game collection. I don't really play a lot of video games, um, but I do have like several of the systems, um, and I don't really like. My wife likes books, so she kind of has like a book collection going. I have a small book collection, but most of the books have to do with it's stuff like this where it's like has to do with movies, um, it's just like the novelization of a film. I have some like a few of those. I have a small CD collection. Maybe not small. It's a decent sized CD collection, but I don't really listen to them as much as I would like to. Maybe because the car I have now doesn't have a CD player in it. I used to have a car where like it had a CD player, and so I'd only listen to CDs. Really, it's before I had like Spotify. Um, but now I have Spotify, which I don't want to get rid of the CDs because I'm like all about physical media and stuff. And Spotify could just take away a whole album that I love that I wouldn't have any way of listening to it. I have a very 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 small vinyl collection, um, which I think it's like maybe 15 vinyl, maybe if that. Um, and again, I only get like my absolute favorites on vinyl. I know some people like really really like they get really into vinyl, um, but the that's like it's just not my thing, I guess. Um, and I'm trying to think what else, if there's anything else I collect. Um, I guess being into like cameras and being into like filmmaking and like what part of my job too is a you know free like photo and video stuff, like freelance photo and video, I guess, for weddings. um, I do kind of a small collection of like older cameras or lenses or stuff like that that I pick up at thrift shops or whatnot. um, but yeah, I don't really do. Let's see. I just saw someone say no comics or posters. I don't really do comics. I have a few posters, not a ton. It's mainly like um, I don't have the room for posters. At least down here, I don't. I would love to have some posters like displayed nicely, but I don't know. I'll one day I'll go through. I'll show you where I have my posters, and I'll kind of like talk about that a little bit. So stay tuned, I guess, for that video at some point. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't do much else besides movies. Obviously my big thing is movies or different formats of movies, and so whether that's VHS, Laserdisc, CED, beta tape, film, 16, what let's see, 8 millimeter, Super 8, 60 millimeter, 35 millimeter film, I guess, HD DVDs, all the different formats out there. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all I really collect. I try to not get into too many collections, because once you start branching into multiple different types of collections, then it's like it can get overwhelming, especially when you're trying to the like for me, I'm trying to get the complete Criterion collection. So I'm like I want to like focus my attention and energy and like any like for like financially, I want to focus on Criterion. um but yeah, I mean, um yeah, there's always I always love hearing what other people have to or what other people like to collect. um let's see, I'm a little far in the comments. Have you seen Band of Outsiders? Band of Outsiders. Why does that sound very familiar? Is that correct? Band of Outsiders. Why? Who directed that? Why? That's like I feel I've definitely heard of Band of Outsiders. I don't know if I've seen it. Um, and do you like anime stuff? So I have a small like I like anime, but I have not gotten into anime, if that makes sense. I've seen like which you'll see this on the next collection update video. I guess I'll spoil that now. Um, so this is a sneak peek into the next collection update video that I eventually will do. I got these two at an antique store, which I've not seen either of these. And so obviously, like I feel like these are like some of the big ones of anime. But so there's the film Your Name that I really really liked, and I really liked Perfect Blue, and I don't know. I feel like I don't. It's just it's not my personal favorite. I guess I've just never gotten into it. I'm not a huge anime or animation type of person, but um, let's see. Answer that. I got Band of Outsiders only because it was Criterion, but haven't seen it yet. Okay. Band of Outsiders. Yes, that sounds. Thank you. And thank you, Ralph. Yes, Jean-Luc Godard. Yes, I've seen this. And it was very good. I remember really liking it. I feel like it was a little slow at times, but I really like Jean-Luc Godard. I think that I'm saying that right. I might be butchering that, but that guy. It's very good. I would highly recommend checking this out. My personal favorite of his films would be Contempt. I love this film. I feel like this is just like a very, very well done film. Um, I wish that this would get re-released into the Criterion Collection. This is currently out of print. I wish we'd get a nice 4K of this movie because the music. I listened to the soundtrack to this movie just on repeat. It's very, very, very good. So if you haven't seen it, like, or I guess, go if you're curious, you could look up the theme to Contempt. It's a very good theme as well. But only anime I watched, dragged horribly. Titan? Question mark. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. I'm assuming Titan. Titan. I don't know. Um, and I'm trying to think of other anime films I've seen that. Um, oh, what's that one? It's with the. With a blank on it now. It's like like the girl gets turned to be like an old lady or something. And there's like a crow guy. I don't know what it's called. I'm doing a bad job of explaining it. Howl's Moving Castle. I've seen that. But do you own all film formats? So I think I own pretty much everything that was released in the US. I mean, I have Video 8, which is a very niche format. I have Superbit DVD, VHS, or DVHS, I should say. Obviously, VHS, CED, Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. I'm trying to think what else. I think I said HD DVD. The mini DVDs. Trying to think. I think I pretty much have. I think that listed out for everything. I have representations of 35 millimeter, 16 millimeter, 8 millimeter, Super 8 millimeter, and 70 millimeter. At least something that has to do with some of those in my collection somewhere. I don't have any like full films past Super 8 millimeter, so I don't have anything like a full feature on 16 millimeter or a full feature on 35 millimeter. And speaking of which, recently, this was a couple weeks ago, on eBay, somebody had a complete 35 millimeter film print of Gone with the Wind. So this was on, I think it was 9 film reels, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 3 canisters of 9 film reels. And it was a complete, like, print of the film. And he was asking, he was asking 600 or best offer. But on eBay, when you watch an item as a seller, you can like send out a offer to whoever's watching it. So he sent out an offer as $450. So meaning that, if you wanted, you can click that and then you could get it for 450. The downside is it was on kind of like by what's it called? It's kind of near Philadelphia, PA, as far as I kind of remember. So it would have been a decent drive for me to go get it, and it was only a local pickup. But I was like, man, I wish I was able to snag that, because having a complete 35 millimeter print of Gone with the Wind would be such a prized jewel within my collection. Even though I have no means of watching it, I just think it's like really cool to have something like that. So maybe someday, my goal is to at least at some point have a complete 35 millimeter film print. But maybe one day I'll get one. But do you own movies released on Video 8? So I have one film released on Video 8, and that would be Sleepless in Seattle. I have on Video 8. And yeah, that's the one and only one I have. I actually bought that. If you're familiar with the channel Cinema Sickness, I'm sure a lot of my viewers came across his channel. He used to do a lot of movie content. Now he's kind of switching what he does. But he used to do a lot of like physical media collection video type of things, similar to what I'm doing, but like I don't know. His collection was insane, but he also had like an Instagram store, and he was selling off some items, and one of them was a Video 8, and so I grabbed that one. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to also like not get into wanting to collect everything on every format ever, um, because that's going to get very overwhelming. I already have duplicate copies of some things. Like when it comes to like horror, I will like if I have it on DVD and I come across the VHS that's cheap, I'll buy the VHS still, and I'll keep both. Mainly because I love how horror VHS like look on a shelf. I just think it looks so cool. Um, and someday I would like to like big future plans is this whole room is going to look different, um, and as the collection grows and shrinks and grows and shrinks, and you know, just like anything else, it's just I'm gonna eventually sell off bits and pieces of this. Definitely never selling Criterion or really boutique stuff. Like that's all staying with me forever. Um, but you know, there's certain parts of it that I will like. Mainly my wall of just movies that I like, my like general movies. So you know, movies like The Family Man or Father of the Bride or stuff like that. That like is very common titles. That wall will eventually change, but at some point I would love to have like a nice display of all my horror VHS tapes, like face out, like what you would see in a like a rental store, um, because there is something to be said about like, you know, this artwork versus this. I just feel like this artwork looks so much better, and so I don't have the space for that right now. I am pretty much maxed out on space, so someday in the future it'd be nice to have like a nice display of all the horror VHS. But yeah. I could kick myself for throwing away all of my VHS tapes when DVD came out. Yes. I feel like a lot of people would. I'm kicking myself because when I was first kind of getting into like horror VHS as a like concept, I feel like I told this story before, but I went to a flea market that was kind of by my house at the time, and this guy had like 3 giant boxes of horror VHS tapes, and it was all kinds of stuff. And at the time, I wasn't like really into horror. I was just kind of like semi into it, and so I think they were like $2 a tape. And so I only grabbed, you know, the Friday the 13th, Halloween's, Nightmare on Elm Street's, Texas Chainsaw Massacres, like the big ones. And like I wasn't like thinking really of like, oh, you know, what are some other, you know, major ones that, or like what are some other ones that like, what are some like rare things in here. And I feel like the guy didn't seem like he really wanted to hold on to them, so I probably, looking back, I could have made him an offer for everything that he had, and he probably would have taken it. And I like, if I had a time machine, it wouldn't be the first thing I would go to, but it would probably be on the list of things to go back in time and, you know, make him an offer, or go back in time and whenever you could find horror VHS tapes everywhere, I'd probably be buying them up. But yeah, it's I am kicking myself with some of those, but yeah, that's because I had I should mention this too. I had a coworker once tell me that he was really into horror, so he had like a ton of, like, it was like over 1,000 horror VHS tapes, and you know, he got tired of moving them from you know, one location to another or whatever. Like the one day he just, when he was tired of moving them, he packed his car full of boxes of, you know, VHS tapes and drove them to Goodwill. And, you know, he said that he just backed up and he unloaded the boxes at Goodwill. And he's like, now he's very mad about that, because it was, which I could imagine, because that is a very unfortunate thing, just getting rid of all of your, especially some of the horror VHS tapes. Like some of them the prices of them are ridiculous now, because of just the rarity, I guess. Even though the quality is not like that super great. But would you rather have dinner with your favorite director or your favorite character? Ooh. Probably favorite director, because I would say with me, I want to eventually make movies, and so I want to, like that's kind of like my dream is to make films, and so um, if it was somebody not living, I would probably sit down with Stanley Kubrick. But if it was somebody living, I would probably sit down with David Lynch, and just, you know, like talk movies. And I just feel like it'd be a fun time just to kind of pick their brain on how things, like how they like do things and stuff like that. I feel like it'd be a really great time. Um, I have horror VHS in my or in those brown Fox cabinets. I randomly buy or I randomly buy of a CRT TV VHS combo. Got me back into VHS. Goodwill $5. That's awesome. Um, yeah, so actually I have a CRT TV, which that is the best way to watch VHS tapes or laser discs for that matter, or beta tape, I guess. Because VHS was never designed to be for a flat screen TV, which now finding a CRT TV is not like an easy thing. Back in the day, which I guess I'm only, late 20s, so like there was a time where I remember when like you couldn't get rid of a CRT TV. Nobody wanted them. Like nobody like it was like you had to pay to get rid of them to recycle them or whatever. Um, but now it's like people are realizing that, for one, the original Nintendo, like the Duck Hunt game, where you like shoot the ducks, that doesn't work with a flat screen TV. Because the sensor within the remote isn't compatible with a flat screen. It's only with a CRT TV. And they're also realizing like, oh, like VHS tapes don't look good on a flat screen. The coloring seems off, or like they're out of focus or something. Like there's just something off with it. And then like I don't know. There's several reasons why people like CRT TVs. Which I'm glad I have one. When we bought our house, there was one sitting in the living room, and so I was very happy because it worked. And so I moved that down here where now I have it in the corner where I should be watching more VHS. I want to be, but the newest format is the very best, but I have bought these films so many times. Yeah, I that's kind of how I feel with like with 4Ks sometimes. Um, like that's why I don't have like the Friday the 13th series yet on 4K, like all the ones that they have put out. I'm sure they look good. Or the same thing with Psycho too. It's just, with I mean, I don't even have all the Halloweens on 4K. And I have I don't know. I mean, even like the Hellraiser set that came out a couple months ago by Arrow Video put out on 4K. I have the Blu-ray set. I've already bought these movies multiple times, and I would rather be focusing those like that amount of money to buy things that I have not seen, like rather than buying just like the newest format. And if you want to buy the newest format, that is totally okay. Like that is, I understand some people are are more into a small section, like a small select few movies that they want on the absolute highest format, which I understand. Um, like for me, that's how my like Kubrick films, like if there's a 4K announcement of like Eyes Wide Shut, which has not been a thing yet, or I'm trying to think of the other film that hasn't been, or Barry Lyndon on 4K, I would definitely go out and buy that. Even though I have the Blu-rays, I would still upgrade. But certain things I'm okay with, like that's why I'm still okay with DVD to an extent. If it's available, like if I'm at the store and I see both copies, it really depends on the film, but like for Criterion, for instance, I'm going to buy the Blu-ray. But if I'm at like a thrift shop and I see a DVD that's very cheap of a Criterion film, I'm going to just grab the DVD. It all just kind of depends on the title and the situation. But yeah, I mean, I still buy VHS tapes, so it's nobody thinks about nostalgia. I heard there was a adapter that makes the new TVs basically dumb to look like a C. Yeah, I don't know about an adapter. I know there's a way to basically down like kind of scale. So like you're using the like the RCA jacks to an HDMI. So there's those little boxes that have like the red the white and the yellow ports that would like adapt it to an HDMI cord. But that's the only adapter that I know of. But yeah, that would be interesting if that's a thing. Yes, when I got a flat screen, the VHS went. Yeah, I feel like a lot of that was a big that was I feel like that's a lot of people's story. I am a massive Blu-ray DVD collector. Awesome. I don't buy 4Ks or 3D films on Blu-ray though. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like the 3D like craze it kind of went out. And it's kind of interesting now because like finding a 3D TV which I know there was a very very brief window where they made 3D 4K TVs. Um but like now it's like almost like nobody uses the 3D thing anymore. I feel like it's kind of a gimmick that it was just I don't know. People liked, but it wasn't good enough to catch on. I mean, I have a ton of 3D Blu-rays, so like this is the one that I was talking about earlier. This is technically a 3D Blu-ray, but included is also the regular Blu-ray and the DVD. So I usually just watch like the regular Blu-ray, but something cool that I do have is a 3D DVD set, which is kind of a fun, like weird format that I have, where it's you hook a little like box up to a like DVD player. And like there's these glasses that you put on that have like wires that hook up to the box, and there's only a specific movies you can put in this like to watch on the DVD. They're like shutter glasses to make it 3D. I haven't really set it all up yet, and I really want to. I just haven't had a chance to. But it's a weird format that also didn't really catch on. I talk about it in one of my room tour videos, I believe. Also, I've heard people say that analog films shown in the theaters back in the day, the resolution was about 720p. Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, so like, I do think that there will be kind of a shift in what people want, and the like I went to go see Oppenheimer, and I saw that as a 35 millimeter film print in a theater, and the theater was packed. I absolutely love seeing it in like a film print, and I feel like a lot of people were aware of what 70 millimeter was when Oppenheimer came out. So I feel like there's going to be this weird shift where people are craving to see film again and not just a digital version. I think people want to see the actual film with the little flicker, and there is something about it that is just special and it feels special. So maybe, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like it's going to maybe do that shift, which was actually really cool because today I was briefly at a Goodwill, and this kind of ties into it, I guess. I was at a Goodwill, and I would say like there was like 5-6 people with movies in their hands, and I was just like, it was fun to see so many people be buying up like physical media, and it was just DVDs, but it was still cool to see that people wanted it, like they still wanted to buy it on a physical disc, even though you have a million different streaming services. And so it was fun to see that, and I feel like it's kind of rare to see people like, usually when I go to movie sections in stores, whether it's Goodwill or a thrift shop or whatever, like movie store, I feel like usually I'm the only one in the movie section. Sometimes there's one or two other people, but at this particular Goodwill, I even heard the one girl asking like, where's your guys' movie section? It was a kind of a weird like experience, but yeah. You can't buy the 3D glasses for the films anymore. Interesting. Yeah, because I know there was like that time where the 3D TV was like the thing, and so I remember my neighbor at one point, they got a 3D TV, and I remember, going over, and they had like the glasses and everything. But yeah, I don't know, I miss the days when it had like the 3D, like the blue and the red 3D glasses. I remember watching like Spy Kids 3 with the 3D glasses. But yeah, it was 3D is such an interesting like concept, that I just feel like they still like I don't know. There's like a little bit more development that they need to figure out. I wish there was a way that they could just make a TV where you didn't even need the glasses. It's already built in to being 3D. I don't know what that like how practically that is, but I think that'd be kind of a cool concept. Um, but yeah, let's see. I've been talking for 80 minutes. Wow. Um, so probably gonna wrap this up because my voice is starting to hurt. And let's see. You go to the cinemas now to watch a movie in 3D. The glasses have changed so much over the years since the early days. Yeah, I agree. So I went to Disney and Universal this last a couple months ago now with my wife, and I got to experience like the one Avatar ride where it's presented in 3D, and so you have to wear the special glasses or whatever. Um, and it reminded me of like when 3D was first becoming a thing, and it was very like I don't know. Um, it made me like motion sickness or had motion sickness or whatever, but it was very interesting to see um, like the 3D technology being used in another space besides like a theater or I guess yeah, theater or like a living room with a TV setup. But um, I was on a theater forum where we were all encouraging the member to go see the King of Kings in the theater because it is a different experience. However, he came back and said, wait, sad they screened the Blu-ray. Interesting. King of Kings. Do I have that movie? That's interesting. I feel like I've never heard of that. Like them just putting in a disc at a theater, um, which I guess is like I suppose that is a way that they could technically do. Um, but what has been your best 3D Blu-ray experience? Hmm. So I don't have a like 3D TV, um, so I don't know if I can say much about. I'm trying to think of like experiences within the theater. Um, wow, I don't know. Um, I mean, I went to go see like Rogue One, or I saw what did I see? I saw one of the Star Wars movies in theaters. I saw Titanic in 3D, I think, way back in the day. Episode Star Wars Episode One. So if you remember, like there was a time right before George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, or sold like Lucasfilm to Disney. They were starting to re-release the movies in theaters, but in 3D. There was a very very brief window. They only ever released Star Wars Episode One in 3D, in theaters, and I went to go see that like opening night. And that was a fun like memory, I guess. My two 3D films was Monsters University and Kong Skull Island. Interesting. Um, yeah, so I have yet to see Monsters University. I've owned it forever, and I've just like it's one of those movies that I have. I kept like so it would always be like playing on like a school trip, like on a bus or whatever, like how they have those little like screens on like charter buses. That has happened like two or three times now, where the movie is playing somewhere, but I cannot hear what's happening in the movie. So I missed the whole story. Um, and so I'm just like I'll get around to watching it, but I feel like I've already seen it, even though I haven't. So, but yeah, Kong Skull Island. I need to revisit Kong Skull Island. It's been a while since I've watched that, but okay. So I'm probably gonna wrap this up. I'm at 80, almost 85 minutes of talking, but yeah. Is there any last comments, questions, concerns? I don't know. Anything else I can answer for you guys before I leave? I really do enjoy doing these live streams. It's always a blast. Um, and yes, remember that the never did 3D with episode 2 or 3. Yes, yes. I wish that they did 3D with episode 3. For as in regards to the Star Wars movies, I feel like that would have been a lot of fun because Star Wars Episode 3 is one of my favorites. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a bummer that's when they decided to sell Lucasfilm. But yeah. Um, but yeah, I really do enjoy doing these live streams. I love interacting with you guys. It's honestly one of my favorite parts about having this YouTube channel. I look forward to it every Sunday. And yeah, let me know in the comments, I guess, if you're watching this on the replay. Thank you so much for watching. I guess ask or answer those questions that were asked in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your guys' replies. And ask questions too that you want to know from me. I would love to answer them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. I really do appreciate all of you and all of the continued support. Keep an eye out this week. There'll be another video on Tuesday. I know this last week I dropped the video on Wednesday and not Tuesday. It's just scheduling things. I hope you guys enjoyed that last video. I had a lot of fun making it, where I just kind of talk about my journey of collecting and where I started and how I got to where I am today. Obviously, that is going to be a video that's going to be constantly changing throughout my life. I don't ever plan on stopping collecting. And yeah, let's see, 1 hour earlier would be nice. Cool. So I will, yeah, I may do, because so far I've had only one other person say about the time. I talked about this earlier at the beginning that let me know if this time works for people or if you want me to move it earlier in the day or whatever, because I understand people have work in the morning and they have other things that they would like to do. And so one other person said that, you know, do whatever you need to do, but 1 hour earlier, I will take that into consideration. Thank you for the input. And yeah, I would let's see, where did you get your shelves from? As I want to get some as I'm running out of space from my Blu-ray DVD or Blu-ray movies. So I actually built all of these shelves myself. They're all built out of 1x6s. I have a video talking about on my channel. It's a fairly in-depth video, I think, going over how I build them. I built my VHS or my horror VHS shelf, and I kind of go in like step by step and break down how I build them and stuff like that. So if you have questions on that, though, definitely leave a comment on that video or this video. I'd be happy to answer them. In my opinion, this is the best route to go. It's the most cost effective. I've seen people have similar shelves, but I think this one right here behind me, this cost me like $50 or $60 worth of 1x6s. That's made of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's made of 11 1x6s that are 8 foot long. Obviously, I trimmed them down, but I mean, it's a very, very common board at Home Depot or Lowe's or really any hardware store that carries lumber. You would be able to find them. They're not too difficult to build. I make them a little bit more difficult by putting like little notches for the shelves to fit in. But yeah, if you watch my video, you'll kind of get a feel for how I build them. And yeah, I think it's just because similar shelves are very like this. For if you had to buy this in the store, it cost a lot more money. I mean, in my opinion, I think this looks the best. It's the most efficient. You can customize this shape, size, height, you know, all of the different dimensions. You can really make it exactly what you want it to be. And it's really not that expensive compared to what it would cost in other ways. So, but yeah, thank you guys again so much for watching. I'm about to hit 90 minutes on this, which is fun. But I hope everyone has a great week. I hope everyone watches some great movies. Stay warm out there, guys. It is getting cold. And yeah, I genuinely never know how to end these like live streams. I always just feel like I'm ending like a Zoom call with people. So But yeah, I'm just gonna end it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good night.